listening to Reverb Radio.
So the board of directors have suggested some sort of a brand extension.
Ruthless aggression. Allow me to introduce you to the new general manager of Raw, Eric Bischoff.
Who in the green hell are you?
I lie, I cheat, I steal. And at WrestleMania,
I just hear myself say 3 minutes.
well, let me tell you something, brother. Whoa.
Welcome to the official launch week of Reverb Radio. You heard Wrestling Reverb last Friday, but this is official day number 1 of Reverb Radio, and I don't know if there's a better way or a worse way to start it off. Dits would say that it's the flagship here. So Dits would say that this is the best way you can start off Reverb Radio is with Dits versus Josh. That's what you would say.
I think you kind of shat on that, because if this was called, well, if this new venture was called the Dits versus Josh Radio, then I would go, yeah, it is the flagship, but you've just settled with Reverb. I know it sounds more catchier. It rolls off the tongue a little bit better, but that's not the point.
It's the 2 R's. You're not called Ritz, and I'm not called Rosh.
But you could have just had DJ Radio. Boom.
That could come across a little different. Maybe they would think I'm an actual DJ. Maybe I am. That's your DJ noise?
Yeah, it's not great.
It's interesting. At least...
like Chandler's whip.
Oh my god. Oh man. We got Friends references. That's nice.
Yeah, that's what we do.
Friends. Maybe we should just talk about Friends.
Yeah, screw it.
Who is your favorite friend, by the way?
Chandler, I would say.
It's Phoebe for me, but...
she's my least favorite.
Oh, really? You like her less than you like Rachel? Who likes Rachel?
Who doesn't like Rachel?
Really? I thought Rachel was probably the least interesting cat. Her and Ross were just like, whatever to me.
No, I'd say Chandler, Joey, Ross. Oh, Rachel, Monica. That's a tough one.
Oh my god.
Rachel, Monica, Phoebe.
Oh my, mine would be like Phoebe, Chandler, Monica, Joey, Ross, Rachel.
Ooh.
Actually, no. Monica and Chandler together are better than we're apart. So can I put them together? Like Monica and Chandler, the couple. Yeah.
You could,
weird way to start the show, but I'm not mad.
Yeah.
Hey, this show, Friends would have been raging through ratings in 2002, so it's on brand.
That is true. I think it was in its last season, in fact. So
maybe like the second to last season. I think it ended in like 2003, didn't it? So it'd be getting there. Something like that.
Somewhere. Yeah.
Something like
season
that.
9 or 10.
Yeah. So, goes with the times. It probably could have been airing alongside King of the Ring 2002. Probably, to be completely fair.
That's true. That is true.
Because Friends would have probably been like a Sunday night. Yeah, Sunday night sitcom. So, we're just...
Friends, then King of the Ring.
Hello? Or watch it all together. I don't know. We're doing it now. We watched Friends, guys, over the last 4 weeks. And now we're a Friends podcast that reviews Friends episodes. Imagine that. That'd probably be more of a shitstorm than anything I've ever done. I couldn't imagine that would go smoothly. But anyway, Dits, you've been a busy little beaver the last 4 weeks, setting up new stuff, and you've got like a draft thing happening now over the last. Where that start? Not last week, week before, or last week?
Last week.
Yeah,
9 days ago. In fact,
yeah,
to be completely accurate.
So you're like going with that, and you've got a whole new venture. You've got Project Dits. You've been busy. I'm not the only one that's been busy in this time away. You have been too.
Hey, I'm not gonna lie. I drew some inspiration from yourself. I won't lie, but I mean the GM mode thing was a thing for a long time, and we just said, look, we'll plan it around a time that makes sense. And the next big pay-per-view was SummerSlam, so we thought we'll wait until like the build up to that. So we'll get Extreme Rules out of the way, and then boom, we'll start it. And that's all we're doing. We're just exclusively booking. Well, I say booking. Well, I guess we are booking. That is exactly what we're doing, in fact. But we're exclusively focusing on this series. So Saturday we did the draft 9 days ago, and then every Monday and Friday we do fantasy booking of Raw and SmackDown. So Anthony does Raw, I do SmackDown, and we do that all the way up into SummerSlam, where we're going to do a live pre-show / review show. So we're going to kind of pile it all together. So it'll be like a recap of everything that happened in the series, and then go, this is what happened at SummerSlam. Goodbye. We're back to normal, regularly scheduled programming. But yeah, the Project Dits thing is, I mean, I think it was about 3 weeks ago I started knocking things up, and I thought, you know what, I'm not. This will be something that I reveal like if I get 100 subscribers.
Yeah. On
YouTube. So I was like, that seems like a really good time just to go, boom, I'll change it up, because I've always wanted to hone in on the Dits thing. And I kind of just did a half-assed thing where I just changed the Twitter and just said, yeah, here's all my content. Here it is. And I thought, you know what, I could actually capitalize on this a little bit and run with it. And I thought, you know, I'll create some stuff. The stuff looked great. I was really happy with it. And I was like, nah, and I'll just sit on it now until I get to 100 subscribers, which has been really fast growing.
Yeah, you've been doing like
YouTube.
watch-alongs and stuff too for NXT and SmackDown. So I could see why people have kind of jumped onto your YouTube, which is a good thing.
Yeah, I think it's like 40. I mean, obviously this might not be big to anybody. It's fucking big to me. Like 40 odd subscribers in the last 28 days. I was like, whoa,
it's a lot.
So I did hit 100 this morning, in fact. So really, I should have been revealing Project Dits today. That was a week in advance. And I saw all your stuff coming out as well, and I was just like, oh, I want that.
Yeah.
I want what he's got. I said, I've got all this stuff too. So I was like, you know what? I didn't even build it up. It was literally just like, bang, rebrand.
Yeah, I didn't even see
like,
you even... I thought I was living under a rock when I seen it. I'm like, did I miss something of Dits's that he said he was going to come out with all this new stuff or like a rebrand of sorts? And then I went back through your stuff and I'm like, I don't think I did. And then you kind of revealed that. No, but it was, I thought it's for me, I know you probably be the same, is that I love wrestling to bits, but I'm trying to build up somewhat of like a brand that doesn't necessarily have to be about wrestling. It's always going to be the backbone of anything that I do is wrestling. There's always going to be wrestling tied stuff somewhere. But if you noticed on all my new branding and everything on my Twitch and everything like that, there's less wrestling. It's still a part of me and I still love it, but just trying to build more of a personality than anything else, because it's you would know that it's very easy to get lost in the bunch of just wrestling content, because there's a
and I think that's the thing, because I know for a fact that you have, because I've seen you over the last year since I've known you, like, just grow as a content creator, and I think you get to that point where you're just like, yeah, I love wrestling, and wrestling is great. Wrestling is where we both made our starts with this content creating game. So the Dow Pod for me will always be my flagship. It'll always be the constant.
Yeah.
But I think you get to that point where you start to outgrow it, and you kind of go, I think I've succeeded enough in this area where I kind of just want to venture off and see what I could do somewhere else. And I did I mean, I've done like 2 episodes of Dits on gaming. Yeah, on the YouTube channel.
You did like those reacts things to like the GTA trailer, gameplay or whatever it was.
So yeah, like the gaming thing was just, I really do want, because streaming games isn't going to happen. I just don't have the equipment to do it, nor the time to be able to put into it.
Yeah.
So I have to kind of find my niche somewhere else. So the reacts videos is part of that. Doing a vodcast / podcast on it is going to be a new thing going forward. Yeah, it was just kind of like, I think I'm more than the wrestling pod now. So
yeah, I'm completely on the same page as you. I love wrestling, and again, it'll always be my backbone. Reverb will always be here. This will always be here. Like, I'm still gonna have lots to do about wrestling, but there is a couple of shows. There's more than a couple of shows on this network, whatever you want to call it, that will be not about wrestling and just about other things. Because me as a person, I love wrestling, but I also love a bunch of other stuff too. It's not just wrestling that I love. It's a big part of me. There's other things and like just stuff on my Twitch. Like, yes, I'll still be playing wrestling games a lot of the time because it's genuinely just what I enjoy. But I will be playing other stuff, and like my branding isn't so wrestling based. It will always be in there. I'm not stepping away from wrestling. I've probably loved wrestling more in the last month than I have in a long time, just because I'm just rediscovering it again. But it's just something different. And I think we're both on the same page with that, which is a good thing because you can get really bubbled really easy if you're just like, I'm just doing wrestling and that's it.
Yeah. So I'm glad I hit. I mean, the goal was obviously 100 subscribers. So at any point I would have been doing that right now. But I'm glad I did it when I did. Just give me a week in advance to kind of. So obviously I wouldn't have known it was a week in advance. I didn't think I was going to hit 100 subscribers that soon. I thought I was going to have about a month or two before I got to that point. But no, I'm glad I did it, and I like the fact that we're kind of running in.
Yeah, and that wasn't even
well.
by design. It's just how it's kind of happened, and it's all now that we're sitting down talking, it's like all coming together, and it's like, well, this is what we've been doing in our it's been a month nearly since we've done this show, and it's like this is what we've been doing, and we're kind of just at these nice places, so that's cool.
Maybe we needed the break from each other. Maybe that's what it was.
Maybe it's all Dits' fault. Everybody, Dits harasses me. You should hear him when
I've been holding Josh back. I've been holding him back.
He's a bully.
Years.
He bullies me when we're not recording. He's just like, you little shit, and I'm like, oh stop. But no, Dits is lovely. But he's been. I pop into your watch longs here and there just while I'm watching NXT or trying to watch all of SmackDown. That can be a bit brutal.
Oh yeah, the SmackDown live stream is a fucking challenge. That's why I'm glad when people come in the chat and I literally just go off on tangents. Then I'm just like, fucking hell.
Yeah, I popped in on this week. I popped in, well, Saturday morning for me. Would have been early Saturday morning for you as well when SmackDown airs live. But I popped in. I didn't even say anything because I was just like, what is he talking about? And then there's someone in the chat with you and you were just talking about something else. I'm like, same. This is how I watch SmackDown as well because SmackDown is in 2020. SmackDown is brutal. It's brutal. NXT though, you got a good one there.
NXT is a different beast. I loved NXT the past week. I thought it was amazing. In fact, it was my favorite episode that I've seen since. Well, I say Great American Bash Night 1 because I did enjoy that, but the actual like TV side of things, I still count that as a special TV side of things. That's the best episode of NXT I've seen in a while. And it didn't. I was looking because I was comparing on Twitter as well because somebody was in the chat talking about AEW. Because I think it was Eddie Kingston showed up, and obviously there was a lot of hype behind that, and rightfully so. That promo was chef's kiss.
It was. Good.
But obviously I was watching NXT, so I missed all that. But I was looking at the trends, and I think NXT was hovering around the 13,000 tweets, whereas AEW was up at like 40 odd.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm the niche tonight.
NXT is. I watch NXT every week too. I kind of just pop in with AEW. And watch what I want to watch, or if someone tells me that I need to watch it, I watch it. I keep up to date, but I'm always watching NXT if I'm home.
Yeah.
So I'm the same, and it is crazy. It's like holy crap, AEW really, and NXT is kind of just stayed the same. Like I guess I don't know. I'm not really a big ratings guy. We are here. We're very competitive here, but I'm not when it comes to today's wrestling. I'm not really a big ratings guy. I'm just not. But hey, enjoy what you enjoy. It's a good time to watch every single Wednesday night in the States. It's good to watch wrestling because whatever you watch, you're not going to really be disappointed. I don't think you always get good shows out of AEW and NXT, so that's a good thing. It's a good thing. Look at us talking about current world of wrestling. We're growing and just naturally, we just went from friends to our stuff to current wrestling. And now we're going to talk about King of the Ring. So, Dits from memory, if you can remember, of course, where did SmackDown kind of end when we stopped a month ago? What was SmackDown heading with? I can remember Hulk Hogan and Kurt Angle, and that's really all I can remember.
This is where preparation for this podcast would come in handy. So Kurt Angle was doing the I'm not bold shtick. Taker and Triple H were obviously having their thing.
Oh, yes.
Hurricane and Jamie Noble were in the feud of the year.
Of course.
With Nydia smashing it, sometimes literally. Fuck. What else happened on SmackDown? The Un-Americans are about to become an official thing as well.
Un-Americans, what a classic stable.
Yes.
All I remember is Brock Lesnar being a piece of shit and wanting to destroy everybody. Steve Austin just walked out. Molly Holly has a fat ass.
Still getting referenced.
Yeah,
the reference to that in King of the Ring.
All these they don't want to shut up about him. Molly Holly has a fat ass. I remember that. That's the actual storyline. Yep, that's about it. Ric Flair is
Bradshaw's kicking around somewhere.
Oh yeah, don't worry, he'll be a fucking around somewhere. Being annoying. That's all I can really remember. But don't worry, once we get back on this train, we watched King of the Ring, and listen, we'll go through this show, but I can tell you right off the bat, if you listen to our Judgment Day and Backlash shows, this show is like night and day different in a better sense. It's just so much better. It's just so much better than those other two shows. So
yes, it's nice to come out the other end not thinking that was an absolute car crash.
It wasn't. There was not really anything quote unquote car crash about this show. It's just a good pay-per-view.
And it's the one that I didn't watch all the way through, which is annoying.
I watched it. I'm not regretting at all. It was a good show. So let's get into King of the Ring 2002. It is a King of the Ring semi-final match. Of course, we've got the two semi-finals, and then the final is on this show. Is that how they always did King of the Ring? Do they always only do the semis and then, or did they used to have the whole tournament? Like they used to have all 8 quarterfinals, semi-finals, finals in one night.
I swear, Kurt did a promo before the Hogan match, and he was on about, last year I wrestled 2 matches and then had my match with Shane.
So yeah, it feels
which
like
wasn't in the King of the Ring, but he didn't win King of the Ring, so he must have had 2 King of the Ring matches, and then if he had won his second one, he would have gone on to a final.
Did they have them on Heat? Because Heat
possibly
would have aired just before King of the Ring at this stage, so maybe they had like some matches on Heat and then some matches on the main show. But I truly remember it being a one-night tournament. They had qualifying matches and then they had an 8-man tournament on the show. I swear that's what used to happen. I could honestly be wrong, and it could just be one of those things in your brain that are like, this is what happened when I grew up, but maybe it never did, honestly. But I, for argument's sake, I think it used to be an 8-man tournament on the one night, but it could have always been the semifinals and then the main on the show. I don't know, but regardless, we only get the semifinals and then the final on this show. So a good way to kick it off, to be completely fair. Rob Van Dam versus Chris Jericho. You're not really going to get a bad match out of these two. I can remember these two having good matches in the past because they've wrestled each other a bunch of times from my memory.
Yeah, I believe so. And this was one of those matches I was dipping in and out of.
Yeah.
But I remember, I think it was like the closing stretch as I was watching it. And I was like, this is actually a pretty decent match, and I wish I had watched it all the way through. The only thing I didn't really like was the finish. It just seemed a bit, again, it might be because I didn't watch the whole match, so maybe it just felt like it came out of nowhere. But I think even if I did like have my sole focus on it, I would have gone, hang on a minute. Why is it finished there? Obviously, he got pushed onto the ropes. Yeah. So he had the spiked his nuts and then kind of rolled on the floor, and he did quite a bit of rolling to get into position for something, and then a 5-star frog splash, and that was it.
Considering the ending sequence of that match, like just before that, like it was starting to pick up pace, and then that finish was just kind of like a bit deflated, I guess would be the word. It was still a good match.
It was a good match, yeah.
RVD, of course, beating Chris Jericho with the 5-star frog splash. I know we've had this argument before, but who's your favorite frog splash?
Eddie.
Mine might be Montez Ford, to be completely fair.
I was going to throw that in there, but
it's a good frog splash.
Too soon. He gets some air. Like, I don't know how he jumps that fucking high. Like he is literally like a frog.
He's the highest frog splash I've probably ever seen. Like the
Yeah.
highest.
And he even
RVD's
added
is-
a rotation to it
I
last
know,
week.
Like that's ridiculous. That dude is. He's got some springs in his feet. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
RVD's is probably Eddie's is the most like fluid. Like it just looks right. But then RVD's is probably the most like textbook. Like if you're gonna do a frog splash, that's how you should do it. It's weird. They're all good, but RVD hits a nice frog splash for the win over Chris Jericho in a good opener. I really don't have anything else to add on that, just because that's a good way to start the show. To be completely fair,
Chris Jericho wasn't happy about it though. Attacked him after the bell.
Oh no, of course.
Yeah.
He's a bit
Angry
of a
Jericho.
bit of a crybaby, one Chris Jericho, isn't he? I've
He
noticed.
is a little bit. Yeah, he's I'm supposed to be the king of the world.
With his beard at that stage was interesting.
Yeah,
like
I think it gets worse as well. I
It's
think
the
as soon as he
plaque
moves to
one.
Raw, it gets
plaque one
worse
is
because then
bad.
it just becomes like a block.
Oh yeah,
like
that
the
one is
block
worse. At least
beard.
and it's like dip dyed. Was it dip dyed in this? He had like red in it. At one
His
stage.
hair's definitely dip dyed.
Oh, his beard was
But I
dip
don't
dyed.
know
at
about the
one point.
beard.
It was-
Jesus.
he certainly had his own way of expressing himself when it comes to his aesthetic appeal. But yeah, Jericho had a bit of a whinge, had a bit of a sook, but RVD won. He's going to the final later on tonight. But who will he fight? Boom, boom, boom. There was 2 backstage segments. One was with Paul Heyman and Brock Lesnar. That's what I remember. I don't remember the first one. But there was one with Paul Heyman and Brock Lesnar. And it was just a standard, like, Paul Heyman, like, fuck you, get ready for the match. You know, standard Heyman stuff. Psyching up Brock Lesnar because he wants him to be the king of the ring. Pretty much.
Fair.
We go to another semi-final match of the King of the Ring. It is Brock Lesnar versus Test. I know Test beat Triple H, didn't he? A few weeks ago on SmackDown?
Yeah, I think it was like 2-3 weeks ago he did.
Is that how he qualified?
No, he beat who did he beat? Hardcore Holly and who did he beat in the first round? Was it first round, second round, then semi? Yeah, it must have been.
What?
He definitely beat Hardcore Holly in
Didn't they have
the round
like
before the semis.
qualifying matches, then the quarter? I don't know. I can't remember. I don't know how they did it.
It's
this
so
time.
long ago.
It feels like a lifetime ago. But
He definitely did it. He definitely
definitely
didn't beat
beat-
Triple H.
He definitely
in
beat
the
somebody.
tournament. But he beat
definitely-
Hardcore Holly. I know that for a fact.
You can remember that one.
I do.
This was like 2 big boys just going at it in this match. I didn't pay a hell of a lot of attention to it. I'm not going to lie to anybody. But I do remember a spot where Test hit Brock with the big boot, and he does a
it was
nice
beautiful.
big boot. Yeah, he really does do a nice. Test is an underrated worker. I don't think
I'd
people
agree
talk
with
about
that.
Test enough, especially for a big guy. He moves like not someone that is 6 foot whatever.
Yeah, because this is the first match that I actually did pay attention to.
Oh, there you go.
And it was very competitive, which was surprising because Brock is this dominating beast. Yeah, the next big thing. Nobody can touch him apart from Bubba on Raw.
Yeah, Bubba got him, but for some reason.
But yeah, it was really competitive, and I was watching. I was just like, "Fucking hell, Test is actually." I mean, I've actually thought this a couple of times whilst I've been watching SmackDown. I was like, Test is actually pretty damn good.
Yeah,
But yeah, nobody gives him. Yeah, nobody gives him that kudos. So
I remember him being good. I
No.
shouldn't say I don't remember him being good. I don't remember him being as good as I'm. Maybe it's just because I'm like watching this as like a person who's watched a lot of wrestling now, and I'm like, oh wait a minute, Test is actually really freaking good as a kid. Maybe I just didn't care, but yeah, a good match, and honestly, it
was good.
a good.
I thought it was good.
Much better than I was even expecting. Heyman got in. He interfered at some stage, didn't he? He got on the apron. And he tried to take a swing at Test. That's all I remember. That it just allowed for Brock to win.
Yeah.
He hit the F5, got the 3 count, and Brock's going to the final against RVD.
Ooh. Ooh.
That'll be later on in the show. Speaking of Bubba Ray Dudley, there was a backstage interview with Bubba Ray. They were just getting predictions for the King of the Ring, which I guess makes it feel bigger. I guess I don't know. But pretty much everyone was like, Bubba was like, it's great to see Raw people in the final, but Brock Lesnar's just got too much power for one RVD. I didn't even think of that. It is 2 Raw people in the final. Fuck SmackDown, I guess.
Yeah.
There was another backstage interview with Christian and Lance Storm. They were talking about being proud Canadians and that the entire world that isn't America hates America. As 2 un-Americans, I guess we could say, it is weird. I don't care about when they do American storylines. Like, it doesn't make me feel anything. It's just funny. I find this comedy to me. It's funny that they just they're racist, really, towards Americans. But it's funny because I'm not American, so I can't feel what the Americans feel here.
Oh yeah, they're not particularly happy when people shit on them. They're a very patriotic country.
They are, which is, all that freedom and all that shit.
Yeah,
go for you,
commendable.
Good for you. But yeah, so basically they're just proud Canadians that are like, F you, America, we're Canadians. I'm not American, nor I am Canadian, so, but un-Americans, I don't remember this lasting all that long, but I can remember it. I definitely remember it. I definitely remember them.
I know that they leave me shortly. I remember that.
Something happens very soon, everybody, which we'll cover. Don't worry, no spoilers. But something happens very soon that kind of shakes up pretty much everything. There's a lot that happens in the next month or 2 that kind of shakes around the rosters and gives the shows a completely different feel again, really. So I guess we'll do a big episode on that. There is a Cruiserweight Championship match. Did you pay attention to this one? Do you want to take it away for this one? Because this is your baby, this one. I don't want to take it away from you.
Again, it was a match that I was kind of watching half-assed. But it was decent enough. I don't remember that being, it was one of those Cruiserweight matches where there wasn't that much high-flying stuff going on.
No, well, Jamie Noble, so it was Jamie Noble with Nydia, versus the Hurricane for the Cruiserweight Championship, everybody, just in case you need context. But I love anything with Jamie Noble and Nydia, so I'm all ears. I was all eyes on this one.
To be honest, one of the only things I actually it's not even in ring. JR and King especially, all they were commenting on was if JR had a chance with Nydia and saying like how Nydia has definitely got experience and all this kind of shit. And I was like, what the fuck? Like, there's a match. I get that, they can talk about other stuff that is not going on in the ring, but like you're honestly talking about palming JR onto Nydia sexually. That's where this has gone. I was like, okay.
Well,
give me
on
back
a side
Michael
note,
Cole and Taz.
JR loves he's got good game on Twitter. Ooh. It's interesting. Puts up a lot of emojis and boomer sooners. So good for JR. Maybe he did have a chance with Nydia.
Maybe.
There was
want
a
to
lot
think
of
about
shenanigans at the end of this match with Nydia.
Yes.
Shenanigans would be the word to describe this.
Yeah, she plants a smooch on the Hurricane, which he tends to do every single week, and then he got drilled in the face with a baseball slide. And I think that pretty much spelled the end. I actually can't remember the closing sequence. I think it was a roll up. I might be wrong.
Didn't Hurricane have his foot on the rope and Nydia pushed it off?
Oh yes. Yeah, she pushed it away. Yeah.
So Nydia was the caveat here to get Jamie Noble to become the new Cruiserweight champion. And listen, again, we're not going to spoil anything just in case you haven't watched WWE in 2002 and we like to kind of go on the journey, but oh baby, did Jamie Noble and Nydia get good.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Me too.
I'm lucky that I had that. It's been a blast just watching it and then taking notes, especially quotes. Quotes are a good one for Nydia, especially because she's just trash. It's a hoot.
That'll be the only time that I would happily not talk. I'll just be a bystander and just listen. Like, tell me all about Nydia and Jamie Noble, because holy shit, yes, I'm very much into it. So yeah, that happened. We got Jamie Noble as Cruiserweight champion, which we're both excited about.
Yeah, I'm happy with that.
We go to a backstage interview. Terry is with Eddie Guerrero. She basically just asked Eddie about Ric Flair because, listen, let's be honest here. Let's look at this from a completely analyzing point of view. They had to fucking flip-flop this feud because this would have been Austin. And now they just put Ric Flair in there. Pretty much. So they had to do a lot of building in a week. In essentially a week, they had to do a hell of a lot of building to an Eddie Guerrero and Ric Flair match, which is something that, you know, that on paper, you're like, holy fuck. Even if Flair at that stage, I'd still, you know, 2002, he was old. And he's old now, but I mean, he was old in 2002. Even in 2002, it's like, that should be a match that they build to for a little while. I don't know, Eddie and Rick would have worked in WCW at some point, wouldn't they? Surely.
I'd imagine so.
You couldn't imagine they wouldn't have. But then it's weird. WCW's a bit different because of Cruiserweight division, but surely they had worked at some stage, so you could imagine they would know each other in the ring. But you'd think in a WWE landscape, well, maybe not at that stage, because Eddie wasn't as big of a deal in 2002 as he was a couple years later. So he was still on the up. So even still though, they had to do a lot of building in essentially a week because of Austin. So it's just weird that this segment probably would have been about Eddie talking about Steve Austin instead of Ric Flair.
That would have been a good match, actually. Eddie versus Austin.
We never got it. We never really. Austin said that on his podcast heaps of times. He's just like, he requested to work with Eddie because he was unhappy and he said he wanted to love wrestling again. So he requested to work Eddie. He had 2 live event matches with him to start the loop. And he said they never wrestled on TV ever. And he said it's one of his biggest regrets about walking out is that he never got to work Eddie on TV.
There you go.
Yeah. But instead we get Ric Flair versus Eddie Guerrero. It was all right. Yeah, it wasn't bad, but it wasn't.
There's a lot of chops.
A lot of chops and a lot of Benoit. There's a lot of Benoit.
Did you notice? Because this was the first time I actually noticed this guy. There's a guy who is. If you didn't know better, you'd think he was part of the match. He was a bald guy, black t-shirt. I think he was wearing a wrestling t-shirt, beard. And I thought, is this guy supposed to be fucking Stone Cold or something? And I think I got to the conclusion that he was like security, but he was the other side of the barrier. He's a presence throughout the rest from this point when I first noticed him. And it's probably because I first noticed him at this point. Yeah. I noticed him for the rest of the show.
When you notice a crowd member or someone like security or something, you notice them and then you can't not notice them for the rest of the show and you can't help it.
It was odd. I was like, because he was walking in the same routes that a manager would be hanging out and he'd be in the corner and stuff, and then he'd be like, I'm like, is this guy part of this? And I've just missed something that Josh has said on Raw. But then he was there for the main event as well. I was like, oh, who is this fucking guy? But they made him. But he looked like Stone Cold. So I was like, this is weird. So
maybe it was
that's one of the things I noticed anyway.
A subconscious thing that I just didn't even notice. But yes, the match was. How do I describe it? I don't want to shit on this match because I don't think it was bad. But the match was kind of slow. At least until up in those to those shenanigans with Benoit and Bubba. So yeah, Bubba Ray was involved in this. He just seems to be the guy that he's like the new Bradshaw. I don't dislike him, but he just seems to keep popping up. All right, yeah, Bubba Ray Dudley is there everywhere. A lot. He's there a lot. He's always getting his nose in other people's business. But basically, Benoit at some stage had the crippler crossface on Flair, but the referee noticed it. and was like, "Back off, Benoit, you bitch." And then basically Bubba Ray attacked Guerrero while the referee wasn't looking.
Ah, yeah. Bubba
And
Bomb.
then
Eddie.
Flair got the 3 count.
No. Yeah, Ric Flair, not Eddie.
You know what I meant. I know what you meant.
I know.
But yeah, it was, again, lots of shenanigans, which I don't dislike. But it was very of the time. There was lots of that going on at this time, especially in this year, even more so than like the Attitude Era, because I feel like they didn't know where they were in 2002. They were still kind of in the Attitude Era, but there was better wrestling. I feel like an in-ring standpoint was starting to like form a little bit more than like constant 3-minute matches that they had in the Attitude Era, but they were also stuck in that I don't want to say, lack of a better term, overbooked stage, which I don't necessarily dislike, but there's a lot of it. Like if you go through all these matches, there's a lot of it.
And there's more.
Yeah.
In the show as well.
There's
massively,
more.
In fact.
But yeah, Flair beats Guerrero, which is fine. I'll focus on this match. Women's Championship match. Trish Stratus defending against Molly Holly. Again, this story is based on the fact that Molly, in their words, has a big caboose, a big butt, a fat ass, if you will. But this is a Women's Championship match. I believe Molly earned this because she beat Trish Stratus maybe like 2 or 3 weeks ago on an episode of Raw. And then Trish took off her pants at some stage from memory and rubbed them in Molly's face.
As you do.
Yeah. Let's just be honest here. The finish was what we need to talk about. I believe at one stage Trish went for the Stratusfaction. Molly reversed it and hit like a really nice belly to belly. I remember that. But the finish is Molly cheating, really. Molly cheated to become the women's champion.
She was kind of like cheating, but not cheating because it's she grabbed the tights, but like you couldn't. That outfit was so fucking tight that you couldn't. There was no tights to tight.
Trish will either wear she'll either wear like the really tight pants and like the black tank. You remember that, or she wore like the body suit thing where it was all attached. And it was like purple and sparkly. That's what I remember about Trish Stratus. But regardless, the pants or the bodysuit, whatever she's wearing at any given time, is that tight that if you do pull it, you're basically ripping her skin, which I guess would hurt.
It's like pulling the skin on your thumb. That's about as much.
Yeah, like you're not going to get much
material as you're getting.
But if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. So I will give Molly some credit here because I love Molly Holly. Is that she was going to do it, whatever it takes to be. It worked. Whatever, regardless. The greatest night in the history of wrestling happened because Molly is the women's champion. And now I get to brag about that on Raw, which is going to be fun. You got Jamie and Lydia. I got Molly Holly, so I'm happy. Fuck you, Trish Stratus. You lost. The match was short, by the way. It wasn't all that long. But it was fine. I didn't think it was bad. There is shenanigans because she cheated. And more shenanigans. So, yep, I was going to say that was a nice clean victory, but no, she did technically cheat, even if it didn't quite work the way that it was meant to. But hey, she won. Molly and her fat ass, in their words, is women's champion. What a storyline. Yeah. Like, women have come so far. They're talking about the size of Molly Holly's ass, which, by the way, in my opinion, isn't even that big.
It's not.
It's like
it's not. They were showing the replay of the attempted Molly go around, and King was, look at that big fucking
caboose,
arsehole.
Caboose.
Oh my god.
What a storyline. We've come a long way as a society in that regard. You're certainly not getting that anymore. Thank God, by the way. And also, like, look at the placement of the Women's Championship match. It's in between 2 big matches. Now, that's not the case. Like, now you get a Women's Championship match, and it's low-key the main event a lot of the time.
Yeah.
So, we've come a long way, but Molly Holly became the Women's Champion. I know there was some kind of interview with Kurt Angle, but we'll just go into the next match. It's a SmackDown match, Angle and Hogan. I'll let you talk about this one because I know you're super excited for this feud Super excited.
Oh yeah, massively into it. So invested. What I will say is this: it is soul destroying seeing Kurt Angle bump for Hulk Hogan. All that hulking up,
especially
shit.
in 2002 when it wasn't even like quote unquote the good Hogan. It was like the old man rundown Hogan.
And like it wasn't taking the piss. Like it wasn't Shawn Michaels bumping.
Oh god!
But like he was doing a good job. I mean, he was doing Kurt Angle selling. To be fair, like he wasn't doing anything like out of the ordinary. But he was just so like he was putting the effort into making Hogan look good. And I was just like, oh, why are you doing this? It's just and the match itself wasn't even that good. And
it wasn't bad.
It wasn't terrible. It was better than I thought it was going to be. I won't just shit on something
to shit on it because I don't dislike Hulk Hogan, but. At this, like, what do you expect? In 2002, I was not excited to see Hulk Hogan wrestle. I've never watched a Hulk Hogan match and been like, with the exception of maybe Rock, but that wasn't because of the wrestling. I didn't care about the wrestling. It was the spectacle of it all. Without that crowd, that wrestling alone, if you're just looking at that match from a pure wrestling standpoint, you're not really going to be that pleasantly, surprised by it. It wasn't fantastic. It was fine. It was like this. This was fine. That's how I'd describe this. Again, shenanigans like fucking crazy. So many shenanigans.
Yeah, the chair. Classic chair. Kurt Angle chair shot against the ropes and he clatters himself. But to be fair, if I could say anything good about this match is that the finish was the finish was amazing. Having Hulk Hogan in that ankle lock for God knows how long. Apparently, he's never tapped in his life.
No. Has Hulk Hogan ever tapped? I wonder if he... Well, there, at that stage, at that stage, had Hulk Hogan... I don't really recall too many times there. I haven't watched that many Hogan matches. I'll put that out there, because he was obviously before my time of wrestling, before both of our times. But...
According to JR, no. That's what he was running with. He was like, I've never seen Hulk Hogan tap.
He was in... Listen, let's be honest. He was in that hold for a long time. I was like, Jesus fucking Christ, just tap out, mate. Like... He is. It wasn't even as if, isn't he?
Like Angle did the bit where he drops down and he like properly locks in the ankle. Yeah. He didn't even get that in. He was.
It was a long time though. It may as well have been like 10 minutes because it felt like I was like, come on. I was sitting here like watching it. I believe at that stage of the show, I had made some food. I was like, I'm gonna sit down, like not do anything else, like not have it on in the. I'm gonna sit down and I'm gonna watch this match because it should be fine. And I was just eating my food, and I'm like, I finished eating food like 10 minutes ago when he fucking put the hold first on him. I'm like, I've had enough. I'm like, just tap out or someone win. I'm like, I've had enough of
it. Was a half-assed tap out as well.
Oh, yeah, it was that, like baby face, like, I don't want to tap, but I have to tap. Oh, no, I'm not putting you over. Hogan seems like the type of person that would kick out at 4. You know, when they would get beat and then someone would kick out just after they
he does. Beat. He does.
And I was like, you bitch. I can't stand that. I just don't like Hulk Hogan. It's not even because... Well, I don't like him because he's what he said. But also, I didn't like him beforehand. I just have never been... yes, okay, a spectacle and a big star and brought a lot of eyes into the world of wrestling. Yes, okay. There's an argument there for that. But as a wrestling fan and watching him wrestle, it's garbage. He's garbage.
Yeah, I'm not a fan.
Ric Flair has said many times that Hulk Hogan has said himself that Hogan doesn't describe himself as a great wrestler. He said he's a passable wrestler, but I'm a star. I guess that's what you could call him. He's a mega star. Everyone knows who Hulk Hogan is, for better or for worse, but he's a passable wrestler. He's not horrible. He does... I mean, his finish is a fucking leg drop. So let's be honest. His finisher is a leg drop. I know in that time it was a bit different because different moves have evolved, but he does a shitty running leg drop.
Yeah, it's not even impressive.
It's not even that good.
It's like an old man leg. It literally is an old man leg drop.
Even in 2002, he was old. So, I mean, what the hell? I'm so glad we're past the time of ever seeing Hulk Hogan have to wrestle again. Well, knock on wood.
Well,
you wouldn't think so. you surely wouldn't think that he would ever wrestle again. But when was the last time Hogan wrestled? For you, when was the last time you can recall seeing Hulk Hogan in a wrestling ring? Was it TNA? Did he wrestle in TNA?
Yeah, I think he probably had like 1 or 2 matches in TNA.
That would have been
which
it.
was what, 2010?
Yeah, 10, 11, something like that. It was around that time. Well, Brooke Hogan was in TNA, if you remember, in like 2012. So he was still there at that stage. Do you remember Brooke Hogan in TNA? Because I do.
No.
I do. She was aces and eights. Bully Ray married her. It was a whole time. We should do a podcast on that because you'd get a lot of fucking content out of that. Brooke Hogan was a mess in TNA, but it was funny. Okay. Off of that match, we get it absolutely, probably my favorite part of the whole show. This backstage segment with Goldust, Booker T, and The Rock. Now, you can imagine if I just say, people have probably seen this segment before because I remember seeing it beforehand. I didn't realize it was on this show. But holy shit, was it good. I would assume you would have paid attention to this.
Oh, yes, I was watching. I saw Goldust walking in with the Rock getup on. I was like, I know exactly what's going to happen here. So I down tools. And
by the way, how do you feel about that Rock shirt? It was the "We bring the whoopin', you bring the ass" on the back, wasn't it? It was "We bring the whoopin' on the front, you bring the asses," or the ass or something on the back. Is that a classic T-shirt or is that silly? Because I go back and forth on it.
I honestly think some Rock T-shirts are silly.
Cheesy. They're silly, aren't they?
Cheesy, yeah.
Like that one to me, it looks like. Listen, I bought a bunch of retro T-shirts off WWE Shop a couple of weeks ago. Bought some NWO stuff, some Austin stuff. I went into the Rock stuff and I was like, I'm going to buy a Rock T-shirt because, you know, it's like all in it. And I'm like, I want to get like the classic feel. I had like a cactus and an Austin and I just wanted a Rock one. And I looked through them and I'm like, were they always this bad?
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I could wear them, to be honest. Like, I'm not going to bring a "we bring the whooping, you bring the ass." Like, that sounds dirty.
Yeah, there was obviously there's the classic one is "Just Bring It," which is
that one's
a great
That
T-shirt.
one wasn't even on WWE Shop. I was like, what the fuck? But anyway,
yeah, there's one when he comes back. Obviously, he goes back off to Hollywood in the next 8 or 9 months.
Yeah,
in this time, and then he comes back briefly for the Evolution feud with Mick Foley. And he has a T-shirt then. And I know that one's cheese. I can't remember what it is. But it's definitely cheese.
I know it's cheesy. And then, of course, like later on, when he come back to wrestling in like 2011, that Boots to Asses one was.
Oh yeah.
Not it. I didn't like that. I didn't like the whole Boots to Asses thing. There is a lot of Rock shirts that I'm like, they're nostalgic. Like that is a very nostalgic T-shirt that he's wearing, the "We Bring the Whoopin' one. But I'm like, I couldn't wear that. No way. I'm not wearing that shirt. But maybe that's just me. Some people will probably disagree with us and be like, that's iconic. But I just seen it on Gold. When Goldust walked in with it, I was like, oh man, that's not great. That's not a great shirt. This segment though was what a beautiful. I know Booker T and Goldust have been. I mean, I'm glad that I've got them. By the way, that is something that I've
very
scored.
Lucky.
In this regard with Raw is that I've got Booker T. I've got what were they actually called? Book Dust?
I don't know.
Or is that more
I'm
of
just
a
going
now
off
thing?
what you call them.
I think that's more of what Booker T and Goldust refer to them now is Book Dust. But Book Dust and The Rock, you take us through exactly kind of what happened in this segment because it's hard to actually decipher and cut up.
Yeah. Goldust obviously was impersonating The Rock, giving all the whole. It was just terribly impersonating The Rock.
So bad.
And then obviously The Rock then came in, and then Booker T. Oh yeah, I like what you were saying about dedication and all that, and he was just like, yeah, if you don't want to be here, get the F out. And just every now and then Goldust was chiming in, and he goes, yeah, so I've got like my. Like catchphrase kind of thing. It was just like, oh, nobody's bigger than whatever. And he goes, yes, especially nobody's bigger than Spinneroonie. And then he points to Goldust. He goes, and nothing's bigger than what do you do? And he's just like,
yeah. Every time Rock tried to like intimidate Booker T, Goldust would do something, and Rock is very good at comedy, obviously for many reasons. It's why he's one of the biggest celebrities in the world now. But Rock is his facials are just. Go back and watch this segment. I'm sure if you don't have the network, everybody, it's okay. I'm sure you can find it on YouTube somewhere on the internet. You'll be able to find. Just type in Goldust Booker T Rock backstage, and you'll find this segment. Rock's facials are just so funny because he's just like, what in the fucking hell is this gold thing doing here? And Booker T plays. They just play each other very well. It's a very funny segment.
You can see Booker T actually every now and then, like holding in laughter. Because I was just like, I know exactly what's happening in this segment, so I was like, I'm going to actually focus on Booker to see if he holds it together. And every now and then, you just get like little moments where he's just like looking away. He's like,
It was good.
And I would struggle, to be fair.
It was a very good segment, just very funny. Let's move into the King of the Ring final: Brock Lesnar versus Rob Van Dam. Not a very long match.
No.
But
no,
the finish
it wasn't that competitive either, to be fair.
No, it wasn't. This match was about one thing: making Brock Lesnar look like a superstar. And mission accomplished. The ending was good. Brock basically caught RVD off a springboard, or was it off the top rope? Was it a springboard?
Springboard.
And he caught him midair. F5. Brock won. King of the Ring 2002 is Brock Lesnar. Yeah, not a very competitive match. Just made Brock Lesnar look like a beast. Mission accomplished. Did its job. It is what it is. But I love the F5. This was only maybe a week or two after him actually starting to use the F5 as a finish, because he wasn't. He was using that powerbomb for ages. That spinning triple powerbomb thing.
Yeah.
And then he started doing, and the F5 was just like a regular move in his arsenal, but he started using the F5 as a finish. Obviously, it's probably one of the most iconic finishes ever now, the F5, if you look at it.
I love the F5.
I do like the F5 as well, and there's no one that does it like Brock. No one does it but Brock, in a mainstream sense. You wouldn't dare. But yeah, Brock won King of the Ring 2002. We'll go to this backstage segment because obviously it's pivotal in what happens a little later, so there's a lot of seeds planted here. But for the first time tonight, the NWO are on screen, which is crazy.
Oh yeah, I forgot this happened. Yeah, I was wondering what you were actually going to talk about then.
So basically, the Triple H is walking down backstage, and the NWO meet him. X-Pac, Nash, Michaels, Triple H, the Clique, fuck yeah, all that shit. And basically, Kevin Nash said that if Triple H needs the NWO tonight, they'd be there for him because they're pals. So, Shawn Michaels, Triple H. Wonder where that's going. We've got an Undisputed Championship main event. It is The Undertaker versus Triple H. This match, it seems like these two have been on and off feuding for since the inception of this show. Really? Yeah.
And I can't wait for them to separate, to be completely honest.
Triple H and Taker. All right. At this point, even in the Attitude Era and stuff, they'd wrestled a bunch of times. They wrestled at WrestleMania 17 in a good match. I remember them having multiple matches over the course of that era, and into now they had a couple of matches as just if we started, and then of course their history after they had more WrestleMania matches. Crown Jewel,
very good WrestleMania.
Super Showdown. They had stuff in Australia and stuff like that. We've seen a lot of matches between the two over the course of our wrestling fandoms. At this stage, I was expecting a lot more from these two because of the stuff they done at Mania 27, 28, and beyond. It's not that this match was bad, but it just, I don't know, they didn't seem to have a natural click with each other, in my opinion. It just seemed...
It was very sluggish.
Yeah, I don't know if it was just timing, where they were in their careers, where we were in the show. Maybe it was a factor of all of this thing. And then, of course, we've said this word a lot, but shenanigans were a lot. Like, this was the definition of a main event championship match in this time period, because that's what happened a lot. If you go back and watch this time period a little bit before, there was a lot of ref bumps, there was a lot of interference, there was a lot of cheating, there was a lot of everything. And there was a lot of people involved in this. I believe at one stage there was a ref bump. Earl Hebner went down at some stage. Rocky was involved. For obvious reasons,
he was
Rock
in there.
Involved. Heyman.
Neil Patrick was there. Heyman was there.
Heyman. We had
whoever presses play on the theme music was there.
That happened a lot. Try and decipher the finish for us, because there was a lot of stuff going on and I got a little bit lost. To be completely fair.
I mean, I was just trying. What even was the fucking finish?
It was
like the
I know
Rocket,
there was a
rock
pedigree
bottom.
at some stage.
Triple H took about 7 years to recover.
Yep,
To roll over into the slouch
He did
pin.
the whole pedigree. I'm tired, and then I had to roll him over, and then that. But then there was something to. Oh, okay, right. The referee couldn't get up straight away to count, and Triple H tried to get him up, and then take a low blowed. Triple H, and then one with a roll up, didn't he? Am I reading? Am I remembering?
And he got the tights. Instead, he got tights. I think.
Oh my
Fucking
god!
hell!
There was
I only
a lot
watched
going
this
on.
today.
Rock hit a rock bottom at some stage onto the under. Yeah, as confused as we're saying this is how it deciphered on television. It was not the most easy thing on the eye. There was a lot going on,
It wasn't.
and it was just a cluster. It was a cluster of what could have been a much better match than it needed all of this. I don't think Triple H and The Undertaker needed all of this stuff, but say what you will, I understand this is a very strong argument to go with. Triple H was protected a lot in this stage of his career. So is The Undertaker, mind you. They were both very protected characters. So this was just a way of them unbooking themselves out of a corner without anyone really having to take, quote unquote, a fair loss.
You said overbooking earlier, and this is the definition of overbooking. The fact that neither of us know what the fucking finish was.
It was just
and it didn't even start
yesterday.
even after the bell. More stuff, like Taker was telling Rock, you come down here, you piece of shit. So he was like, all right, of course I will. And then he comes down, hits a rock bottom, I think, on Taker, and then his music plays, and then Triple H hits the pedigree on the Rock, and Triple H's music plays, and then at this point Undertaker's now up and hits a chokeslam on Triple H, and then now his music's played. It was like, fucking hell.
But it's not. That's not it.
Going on.
The finish wasn't the actual 3 count wasn't the end of this fucking night, because Rock comes back out. He delivered a people's elbow to the Undertaker. Rock then tried to help Triple H up, but then Triple H hit Rock with a pedigree. But Taker, in that small amount of time, managed to collect himself and chokeslam Triple H, and the Undertaker then celebrated to end the show. Cool.
Overbooked.
Too much going on. It was a lot. But hey, it happened. It was a cruddy main event of a really good show. That's how I would put this. I liked a lot of stuff from this show. There was nothing bad on the show, with the exception of maybe the main event, but I wouldn't call that necessarily bad. It was just
it wasn't bad.
a lot. It was just a lot to take in. Until the shenanigans started happening, the match was fine. But yeah, I've never been one to be that interested in Triple H versus Taker. I mean, later on in life, yes, with just the magnitude of their Mania matches, but outside of those, it was never really something I looked back on and been like, I remember Triple H and Undertaker having the most slapper of matches when I was a kid, because I just don't.
No.
I just don't.
And the fact that I haven't been invested. I've been invested in the feud during this show, so.
And I haven't had the build up to that feud. I've seen a lot of The Undertaker fighting Tommy Dreamer. So,
Classic.
And spewing, which is what we've seen a lot of in the last week in WWE. So
Full circle.
Seth Rollins is 2020's answer to Tommy Dreamer. There you go. You heard it here first.
Although Tommy probably would have eaten the eyeball, to be fair.
That's actually, no, you're actually right. He probably would have.
Yeah.
That would have been a real
Dirty
fucking horror
bastard.
show. What a horror show.
Dirty bastard.
But yeah, that was a show. I enjoyed it. Molly Holly's champion. I'm happy. Can't
I
really
figured you
complain.
would be. I figured you would.
I was, trust me.
I was like,
It not-
somewhere in the world, right now, at this point of King of the Ring, there's going to be a very happy Josh Robinson bouncing around.
I was thrilled. I was like, hell yeah.
Yeah.
And she cheated, which is even better because I like a nice jerk too. Well, that sounds bad. Well, I mean, we won't
don't
go
we all?
there. Well, yeah. Well, in both senses of the words, yes. But you know, she is being a jerk. That's what I should have phrased that as. Not a nice jerk.
It's not open
Regardless.
to interpretation, that phrase.
Both happy endings. So yeah, good show. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. Overbooked main event, but I still enjoyed it. And Brock looked like a beast, and we know where that's going, so all systems are going for all of this. And now we look forward to Raw and SmackDown this week, back in the swing of it. So there's no voting this week, everybody. You can't draw us this week after the last time we did this, and we freaking drew, of all things to do, which is worse than winning or losing, is a draw.
Yeah, I'd rather take the loss.
Yeah, so would I.
But it derailed your momentum, so I was happy
Yeah.
with that. Because you
I
were
was
on
on-
a, you're on a bit of a streak. You were getting
Couple
starting
wins,
to build
3.
some stuff up.
I was
2
like-
wins.
I
Yeah.
was like, So,
I was like, well,
so we invite you to vote next week, but next week we'll be talking Raw and SmackDown as we build towards not SummerSlam. There's a pay-per-view in between it.
Vengeance.
Hey, Vengeance, there we go. I love all these old names, don't you? Don't they give you a sense of like, Vengeance and King of the Ring, Judgment Day? Like, they had a bit of
So much better.
They had a bit of oomph behind them instead of the horror show at Extreme Rules.
Yeah, that was silly. Didn't make any
I don't
sense.
even like Extreme Rules as a pay-per-view name as it is. It's a match to me. There's some matches that can be pay-per-view names, like the Rumble. Money in the Bank is fine because that's got a good ring to it. But I
Yeah.
don't want to watch a pay-per-view called TLC. You know what I mean? I don't find that
Hell in a Cell.
no.
Stupid.
Hell in a Cells, by the way, something they did in 2002, which we've seen at Judgment Day, is a great way to end. It's a feud ender. Hell in a Cell to me. It's like, that's like what you build to. I don't necessarily want to see 3 Hell in a Cell matches in one night. I want to see one. One.
Or Elimination Chamber, where you see 3 fucking chamber matches in a night.
It just kind of takes away
Nobody wants that.
the specialty of them. But hey, it's
That's
very
the-
different.
Yeah.
Wrestling's changed. WWE's changed a lot in 18 years since 2002. So, well, yeah, no, that makes us feel. This is 18 years ago. Yikes. So we will be back next week. Dits, have you got anything you want to promote with all of your new thing? You're doing a lot now, so promote away.
I am. I mean, much to my wife's annoyance, I spend 4 nights a week doing content now, which is fun for me. So pretty much elaborating on what I said earlier in the show. Mondays and Fridays are my episode drops at the moment during the GM mode. So same day this drops, you're gonna get Anthony's Monday Night Raw, where I don't do that much talking, so don't bother watching it. No, but please do. But do watch that. But do go on YouTube if you can, and watch it, because it's better on YouTube. It's a bit more of a visual experience. Something I haven't done before. I've actually put effort in, so actually do go and do that. But if you can't do that, then obviously the podcast episodes are fine as well. It doesn't really matter. And then live streaming. I'll be live streaming Wednesday night for NXT, and I'll be happily or sadly live streaming SmackDown on Friday night. So
If
that's
I'm
my-
home from work, I always pop in on the SmackDown streams for one reason only, just to see what Dits is talking about, because usually it's not about SmackDown, which is a good thing.
I'm probably like
I'm not
throwing
gonna.
out Cameron Grimes.
You've really taken a liking to him.
Oh yeah, I love me some Cameron Grimes. Cameron Grimes.
If you want to listen to Dits analyze wrestling, watch his NXT watch-alongs. If you want to hear Dits just be a bit of an idiot in a good way, go to his SmackDown watch-alongs, because I pop into those.
Yeah, it is night. It's night and day. It is night.
It is really different. I'm not going to completely garbage SmackDown, because there's a few things on SmackDown I'm like, oh, that's good, but the bad on SmackDown definitely outweighs the good these days.
Yeah.
Rough.
Yeah.
Of course, you can catch the rest of my content here on Reverb Radio. Whether you're interested in wrestling or non-wrestling content, I have stuff on here throughout the week. You can find my schedule on my Twitter at JoshRobinson00. I'm back on Twitch this week, Tuesday, Friday, and Sunday. All in my time. Just do a little time conversion and you'll find out when. But I'm going to be playing SmackDown Here Comes the Pain this week. We're doing a little season mode. So come hang out. Good vibes on the Twitch streams. If you want to hang out with some bros and broettes, if you will. So yeah, come and do that. I'm putting a lot more effort into Twitch streaming and other side of content and just all different kinds of stuff. But if you're just interested in the podcast, of course, listen to them here. Other than that, I hope everybody has a wonderful day, night, morning, whatever you are, wherever you're listening to this in the world. Hope it's well. And we'll see you on next week's episode with Raw and SmackDown. Until then.